Howdy there, gang. I've got a book for you today that I want to share. The Peregrine by J.A. Baker. This is one of the best books I've read, probably ever. I'd heard about it for a long time prior. I'd seen it discussed online. I know the documentary filmmaker, Werner Herzog, is a big fan of this book. Seen an interview of him talking about how he recommends it to all up-and-coming film directors. And I definitely see why. This definitely has a cinematic quality to it, definitely gets you into the mindset that, especially a documentary filmmaker, I think, would have to get into it, wanting to fully absorb themselves in their subject. But getting ahead of myself here. The Peregrine is about bird watching, but it's not what you would think upon first hearing that. But this is like heavy metal bird watching. You will definitely look at birds and the activity of bird watching a little bit differently after reading this, I think. So I'll just get into it. The Peregrine by J.A. Baker is the story of a man's supreme fascination with birds of prey, specifically peregrine falcons, as he tracks them across the English countryside. But this fascination goes beyond mere passive interest or even passion. This is bird watching as a religious act, where the narrator seeks to fully transcend all human limits and to dissolve the boundary between animal and human and enter fully into the consciousness of a peregrine. It is a desire to get outside oneself and to inhabit another point of view. There he finds a brutal and luminous world lurking beneath our own. He's basically getting fully into the natural world. Like he's fully trying to leave behind not only human society and human company, but even his own humanity, to fully grasp nature itself. And it's beautiful and disturbing in equal measure. But yeah, he makes his aims clear from the beginning. I'm going to read you a quote. Wherever he goes this winter, I will follow him. I will share the fear and the exaltation and the boredom of the hunting life. I will follow him till my predatory human shape no longer darkens in terror the shaken kaleidoscope of color that stains the deep fovea of his brilliant eye. My pagan head shall sink into the winter land and there be purified. End quote. So his quest is cast as a religious one, although not a Christian religious one or a Muslim religious one. This is like entering into a pagan mystery cult. You know, some Dionysian mystery cult. You know, some Viking god ritual. You know, this is getting into something much darker and less pure than ascending up into the heavenly clouds. He's seeking to hitch his mind and soul to the peregrine and to be granted a new kind of perspective through it. He wants to see out of its eyes and hear what it hears and feel what it feels to the degree that he can. But here, in this experience, all the constructs and ideas of the human mind are washed away, and the brute whirl of life and death is made primary, getting down right to the bare-bones essence of life itself. The peregrines are lean and efficient killers. All they do is kill, or prepare to kill, or feast on the slain. Baker does not judge them. He doesn't wash this over or make excuses for it. He observes and allows himself to be consumed in the observing. His whole being becomes an eye fully devoted to this hawk. He gazes without sentimentality upon it. And I have another quote for you. I shall try to make plain the bloodiness of killing. Too often this has been slurred over by those who defend hawks. Flesh-eating man is in no way superior. It is too easy to love the dead. The word predator is baggy with misuse. All birds eat living flesh at some time in their lives. Consider the cold-eyed thrush, that springy carnivore of lawns, worm-stabber, basher to death of snails. We should not sentimentalize his song and forget the killing that sustains it. End quote. Great quote, too. Indeed, in the case of the peregrines, it is this killing that evokes its beauty. The bird at its finest is when it's killing. The heights of its being are found when it is taking life, and it kills with cold and spectacular efficiency. It soars up to extraordinary heights, riding air currents up to the clouds, its wings gleaming in sunlight, then suddenly diving, wings folding in, piercing down like a missile, shooting in full freefall down upon its prey, striking birds in mid-flight. Often, the force of impact alone is enough to kill the bird, and if that doesn't, the force of it hitting the ground after being dislodged from the sky certainly will. The peregrine then descends and feasts upon its victory. There's a dark beauty to their killing. It isn't beautiful in the way a flower is, or a sunset is. It is the beauty of overwhelming force and destruction. It stuns the viewer like an eruption, transfixing them. Overwhelming power and destruction evokes awe, for awe is partly a function of terror. It's beautiful, but not in any moral sense. It has more of a sublime quality to it. Another quote, their rapid, shifting, dancing motion had been so deft and graceful that it was difficult to believe that hunger was the cause of it and death the end. The killing that follows the hunting flight of hawks comes with shocking force, as though the hawk had suddenly gone mad and killed the thing it loved. The striving of birds to kill or to save themselves from death is beautiful to see. The greater the beauty, the more terrible the death. End quote. And it's a hell of a quote. There's a tendency in nature writing to revel only in joy and wonder. This is found in the Peregrine, but not to the point of blindness. Nature is seen in its true totality, in the beauty and horror of its spectacle. There is a synthesis of beauty and horror, where the darkness and the death are found to have a luminous quality. Nature in the Peregrine is a violent inferno of forms and color and movement, shifting and changing, destroying and renewing, and at the sight of it all one can only shudder and stare gaping. The glory of the natural world is shown in all its horror. The novel is soaked with death, reeking with it, whether in the act of killing, or in devouring, or in rotting. The pages are littered with the dead, lying in the long path of the hawk. I have another quote for you. It was almost dark when I found the remains of his kill, the feathers and wings of a common partridge lying on the riverbank 5 miles downstream. Blood looked black in the dusk, bare bones white as a grin of teeth. A hawk's kill is like the warm embers of a dying fire. End quote. But the novel is also filled with dynamic and ecstatic life. Baker's sentences are soaked with vision. His writing has a sense of movement and light and a raw immediacy to it, whether it be the changing colors of the birds as the sun arcs across the sky, or the explosion of birds out of a tree as the peregrine flies by, or the parabola swoop of peregrines as they dive down on their prey. Baker's pages are filled with dynamic imagery. There's energy found in the flights of the peregrines, the movement, the light, the explosion of force that seems to drill down into the marrow of life itself, into the essence of all living beings. Pure will to power in a Nietzschean sense, a life drive exhausting itself out into the world. There's a common idea that the purpose of art is self-expression, to portray to the world what is within the soul of the artist. There is value in this, and of course with any creative work, it's inevitable that the artist's fingerprints will be all over it. That being said, the Peregrine doesn't aim to remain inside the narrator's experience. It seeks to move beyond it. Like a hunter throwing a spear, Baker throws his soul out into the world. He's trying to push himself beyond his own limited shell. He sought, by hitching his soul to the hawk, to drill down into the heart of nature, to be disturbed and purified by what he found. This is what many seek in encountering literature, to step outside of themselves, to take a short break from themselves, and return renewed. This is what Baker seemed to be after in his birdwatching and his writing. It was a means of transcendence, a way of getting outside of himself, to stretch beyond all imposed limits, whether they be psychological, societal, or even biological, and see things as they really are, beyond the human frame. Perhaps he succeeded.